Can you do something on pec minor strain, right side? Seems to keep recurring every time I perform any chest exercise. Keep up the good work. Let's dive into the anatomy of the pectoralis minor. Pectoralis minor attaches to ribs 3 through 5, and it also attaches to the coracoid process of the scapula, which is this thing on the front, this like little hook-shaped thing, not the acromion, but the front hook. Its actions are, at the scapula, downward rotation, protraction. At the rib cage, it's going to elevate the ribs. Now, if you're doing a bunch of chest exercises, that could potentially create some concentric bias in the front of the chest, meaning you're going to have your pec minor on stretch or eccentric proximally. Depending on what you're doing with the scapula, you could either be concentric or eccentric with the distal attachment of the pec minor. Let's say you're doing a bench press. If you got a hella ripped chest, like your boy, not really, but if you got a hella ripped chest and you're pulling the shoulder blades back, well, guess what? That's going to put your pec minor on stretch on both ends. Perhaps that's creating some ischemia locally, and it may lead to some issues, especially when you start pulling the shoulder blades back even further. So it could be that you are creating this eccentric overload on pec minor, and things are getting sore, problems ensue. So what you gonna do about it? Well, what to do about it would be to give the pec minor what it doesn't have, which is concentric action. All of the stuff that we talked about that improves the anterior chest wall expansion, the pump handle, the pump, the kind of pump that you do to get movement options, if you know what I'm sizzling. That, folks, is going to create some concentric tension in the pec minor. Because the pec minor attaches to ribs 3 through 5, it assists in elevating the rib cage, which is needed in the pump handle action, or when you get expansion into the front of the chest. Anything you can do that drives that elevation of the front of the chest may reduce the strain on the pec minor. This is incredibly important when you're talking about doing a lot of chest-based exercises. It's really hard to say to what extent, doing a bunch of activities that involve chest work is creating the bias, because I think a lot of it is structural in nature, and it could be worsened by your activities, but I don't know. It's hard to say, because what we're not doing with this discussion is, well, what if you lay off of doing training for an extended period of time? What's going to happen there? I mean, we just don't know. But from a mechanical standpoint, you need to just improve the movement options in the front of the chest, and that could potentially reduce the strain that is occurring on the pec minor. And, as counterintuitive as it seems, it would involve actually a lot of reaching, but you may want to reach without overacting the chest. You want to do reaches that will drive pump handle expansion. And if you do that, my hope is that reduces strain on the pec minor.